Representative DeCoit.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Thank you very much. Representative Jordan.
Reservations, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Thank you very much. Members, we're on Stand Camera Report 905. Representative Cachola, followed by Representative Cragen.
WR.
So ordered. Representative Cragen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise with grave reservations, and I'd like to submit written comments and give you some brief comments, hopefully.
Please
fairly
proceed.
brief anyway. So this is a very personal, important issue for me. And so I've talked to over people. I've talked to a lot of people over the past few days, and it has given me new appreciation of the knowledge and wisdom that we have here in our legislature. I was trying to figure out how to vote on this bill, and I look forward to talking to all of you, or the ones that I haven't talked to in the next few weeks. So I talked with the speaker, and he said it's okay to vote no, as he has always voted no before on this same type of issue. I talked with the representative from Hawaii Kai, my Peace Corps friend, and he told me, vote your conscience. I talked with the representatives from District 37, 14, and 59 Kauai, and they said, come vote no with us. Then I sat down with the representative from Waiwa, and he said that he could understand how I would want to vote my conscience, to vote no, but I had to vote WR, as the bill has a defective date, and it comes down to it I could possibly shape the bill in conference. So, I am very grateful to all those I mentioned and to their knowledge and all that stuff that I don't understand yet, and others who talked to me and shaped my position. So I'm asking them to please understand why I have to this point vote WR, but hope they are willing to vote my conscience and for me and vote no. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about psychology. And for those who don't know, I have degrees in medicine, biology, graduate education in biology, biomedical engineering, and I have 1.5 degrees in psychology. So I found out one thing, that words can change your brain. Words change our brain. That's what education is, words changing our brain. And psychotherapy is a type of education. We've evolved to use language as a tool, and our brains have evolved to be changed by those tools, by language. And that's what psychotherapy is. Now, most of you probably aren't aware, because I wasn't aware until I took courses in psychology, that psychologists had to fight for the power of using words to heal. Psychotherapy was illegal for psychologists until the 1950s. Prior to World War II, there were really no clinical psychologists. This specialty evolved after World War II. Prior to that, they gave IQ tests and tests for the military, did experimental psychology with rats and mazes and things like that, but they didn't treat patients. But the need after World War II was so explosive that they developed many clinical psychology programs. And soon, eventually, there were over 100,000 clinical psychologists, PhD clinical psychologists. One of the reasons there was a need was psychiatrists were doing psychoanalysis, which was a very elitist type of therapy, and so they weren't really available. Medications weren't available at that time. So the PhD programs for clinical psychology were very rigorous programs that required a lot of coursework and a thesis, and often took 5 to 7 years to complete. Entrance requirements were very stiff and competitive, but never included any biology, chemistry, anatomy, or physiology. Now, while behavioral therapy, as espoused by B.F. Skinner, was popular for a while, its emphasis on physical behavior soon included thoughts as targets of behavioral modification, and thus cognitive behavioral therapy treatment became and still is the mainstream of therapy. And that's the skillful use of words, to me, is akin to microsurgery on the brain. Metaphors, reflections are like microscalpels training and pruning the branches of the brain's neurons and weakening or strengthening neural pathways. This is not how psychologists thought of it, as they thought they were treating the mind. They didn't acknowledge they were treating the brain. However, that's what they're doing. So the mind is a concept that no one really understood, but there was perhaps a useful metaphor for the brain. There was a strong element of mind-body dualism, that the mind exists as something distinguishable from the body. It was somewhat conflated with the concept of a soul, which often gets conflated with what we think of as the mind. So you could perhaps think of the mind as a sort of a secular soul. Now, This is, of course, why we speak of mental health rather than brain health, even though it's not clear that...
Representative Hashem, would you yield your time?
Yes, I yield my time.
Oh,
Thank you very much,
I'm sorry
Representative.
about this, but anyway. So it's not clear that schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, otherwise known as manic depression, are a group or spectrum of brain disorders with a strong genetic component, but with equally strong environmental components. Sadly, it is very difficult and not impossible to treat these severe brain disorders with just words and social supports, though these are very important parts of treatment. But the medications required are complicated and they're dangerous. They cause movement disorders, obesity, diabetes, heart diseases, and death. These medications, known as antipsychotics, are difficult to prescribe and monitor, and someone who doesn't have knowledge of the brain and the body should not be prescribing these. These medications can appropriately be provided through telepsychiatry, however, and that needs to be expanded. So, you know, I have more things to say, but in the interest of time, I'm going to submit these as written comments. What I just ask you to do is this. Think about this bill as it is, and think about the bill in Illinois. The bill in Illinois is fairly rigorous and allows people, I mean, right now, a psychologist could get prescriptive privileges becoming a nurse or a physician assistant. And the Illinois program basically provides similar components. So that bill has a sunset in 2017, and what I'm proposing is that we wait and observe what that program does and see the result of that before we rush into this. In the meantime, I'm proposing two resolutions, one to ask for an audit of our mental health task force, and another to have a task force of all mental health providers to discuss how we could best go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative. Further discussion, Representative Choi, followed by Representative Ward.
Reservations, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Representative Ward.
Speaker, in opposition?
Opposition, please proceed.
Speaker, I appreciate the comments of my good Peace Corps colleague from the Big Island. I, however, will be voting my own conscience, plus what I think is best for the people of Hawaii. I have three reasons for this, Speaker. The first one is that medicine is medicine. The WHO and other organizations say medicine has specific reasons to be regulated and systematized. So what is being fed to the people, what is being otherwise ingested, should be measured and tested for its active ingredients and with a high degree of specificity. Even the labs now in Oregon have tests that are still loosey-goosey. They don't really know the THC and the specificity to the degree that it's supposed to be. But my point is, if medicine is medicine, why don't we treat it as medicine? This is medical marijuana, right? No. Why don't we treat medical
Mr.
marijuana?
Speaker?
Representative Blotti.
Point of personal
Yes,
privilege.
I believe the current speaker is trying to make an analogy, but the point of order is well taken. Can we focus on the merits of the bill? I think I know the analogy you're trying to make. So
Good representative from Makiki. I was drawn by my Peace Corps friends' conscience, but I am on the wrong vote. My apologies, members. I am on the wrong vote.
Okay, so the merits on stand cam report number 905. Still no. Got it. Representative Kawakami.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ouch, it hurts when you get hit by a bus, but based on the good words from the doctor from the Big Island, our in-house doctor, I'll be going with the reservations.
Okay, thank you very much, Representative. Representative Tokioka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With reservations.
So ordered. Please continue.
As the Judiciary Chair said, we've been dealing with this for the last 8 years since I've been here. And I know this is a very, very serious issue, but what I would like to say to my friend from the 5th District is that what happens on the what happens on the rail stays on the rail.
Okay. I think you're talking about another bill, but it's okay. Representative Keoho Kalole.
Reservations, please.
So ordered. Thank you very much, Representative. Representative Ichiyama.
Same request.
So ordered. Thank you very much. Got Representative LaPreste, followed by Representative Onishi.
I move to go with reservations by the doctor from Hawaii, the Big Island. And as a PhD, I would say that I agree. I don't think PhDs should be doing MD work. And I may vote no in the end. But I just want to take a moment just to say, as a philosopher, as a doctor of philosophy, how thrilled I am that we're talking about mind and body, soul, medical ethics, gender identity. I don't know why more philosophers aren't engaged in politics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Onishi.
Reservation.
So ordered. Thank you very much. Representative Har.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In opposition?
Opposition, please proceed.
Just very brief comments, Mr. Speaker. On Saturday, this past Saturday, we did receive an email from a group called the Psychologists Opposed to Prescription Privileges for Psychologists, and they did submit a petition recognizing that as psychologists, they were opposed to any effort to allow psychologists to prescribe medications. They do consider prescribing by psychologists to be controversial, even among psychologists. And so in order to save time, I'd like to enter this particular petition into the record, and I'd like to enter additional written comments into the journal.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Further discussion, members. Representative Oshiro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I'd like to thank the doctor from the Big Island for our discussion yesterday afternoon. It was very enlightening for me to hear his experience, especially since he lives in those rural communities where the argument has made that they need to have this law or this measure passed to provide services to their most needy in their community. Because I had a similar conversation with the other Big Island member of the Hawaii delegation who was on opposite sides of this issue because she's seen firsthand the effects of not having the ability to have physicians or qualified physicians to treat.
For what purpose? I apologize, Representative.
This is with reservations.
Okay, WR. Okay, please continue.
Yeah, because I had a very good conversation with him yesterday. But I also, at the same time, need to remark upon the comments also from another colleague from Hawaii Island also, who lives in those rural communities where they see some disparities of mental health services for the most needy. And this is why I believe she is an advocate for this particular measure. You know, I don't know what the answer would be. And you've been around a long time, Mr. Speaker, in your former roles as the chair of the Health Committee. So I know
Human Services.
Human Services. So I know you appreciate, you know, the consequence of our decision here. But I just want to thank him for being available and to follow through and try and work with his committee chair in finding the best solution. And even there's an interim solution through a study to work towards this important issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative. Further discussion, members.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative San Buenaventura.
I stand in strong support of this bill.
Please proceed.
I'm a country lawyer, and as a country solo practitioner, I have been appointed by the court in the most damaging cases where mental health is the most difficult issue I need to deal with. Short lesson on 704. 704 hearings are those who are criminally, mentally ill. Before they are scheduled to go for a hearing, a mental stability exam needs to be determined so that they will have the ability to consent. If they are unable to consent, and the only way you could get them to reach that stability is to have medication. Try as you might to talk to reason to somebody who is mentally ill, you cannot unless they are medicated. And what people here don't realize is if you don't reach that mental stability, the Constitution requires that we release them. Okay, so you are talking about unmedicated, mentally ill people in our community. What this bill does, I did not introduce this bill. I first came to see it when it came in front of CPC. Since then, I've heard former Representative Santiago brought it up 20 years ago, saying that it was needed, and I see its need when I see my experience in it. This bill does not give psychologists prescriptive medication until they get rigorous medical education. Okay, and we have the UH Pharmacology School that does that. Okay, every psychologist I know does not want to do this because they know the type of rigorous continuing education they need to take. And this is in collaboration with a psychiatrist. With due respect to the only doctor in-house, when I started practice and I gave up in the 90s, taking in court-appointed mentally ill people, we had only two psychiatrists in East Hawaii. That includes Hamakua all the way to Ka'u. Only two psychiatrists, and both of them gave up their hospital privileges because they kept getting called in the middle of the night and they were just burned out. We need mental health treatment on the Big Island. We direly need it. From what I've heard, when I talked to Fred Menke, who is our 704 DOH specialist, he is a psychologist. He personally would not do this. He does not know of any psychologist would do it, but he sees the need for it. And as such, after 20 years, it's about time we pass it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative. Any further discussion on the measure before us? Representative McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand in support. I do have some reservations. It's a work in progress. In particular, I want to look at Illinois and the original statute because as you compare them side by side, there seems to be protections in the original bill that Illinois does not have and vice versa. So just a flag for myself as this issue hopefully comes back from the Senate.
Thank you very much, Representative. Further discussion, members?
Thank you.
Representative Thielen, followed by Representative Lowen.
Reservations, please, Speaker.
So ordered. Thank you very much. Representative Lowen?
In strong support.
Strong support. Please proceed.
I think, some of the concerns are duly noted. It does need work, but this is a measure that will help neighbor islands with the lack of providers that we have and people not receiving health care that they need. And can I ask permission to insert additional comments, please?
So ordered. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Representative. Further discussion, members? Representative Belatti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In strong support.
Strong support. Please proceed.
I'll note that I'm in strong support and I am voting my conscience. This is a bill that has been mentioned, has been with us. We voted on a similar measure in 2007. I appreciate the comments, and again, those concerns are duly noted. And as we continue to move this bill forward, I commit to looking at the bill that we passed in 2007, to look at the Illinois legislation and to see the ways in which we can improve this measure to ensure access to quality mental health care in all of our communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Representative. Further discussion, members? Representative Tokioka, I believe it's the second time?
Yes, it is.
Still WR?
Rarely does that happen, but I would be remiss to say, again, and with reservations, but I think, having the conversation with the representative from the 5th District, I think it would be very, very helpful for everyone to know that he has a degree in psychology, and the information and the input that I got from him this morning and yesterday was very, very helpful in the decision that I made today. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Representative. Further discussion, members, on the measure before us? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on, members, to StanCom report number 906.